Once upon a time, Marco took a chance and brought me on board for the Rubbersaur's production. The first Rubbersaur I made was the compsognathus, an adorable 1/18th Triassic predator, highly detailed and perfectly scaled for use with the Hammond Collection and mainline Jurassic figures. From the first time I saw them, I loved these little guys, and apparently I'm not the only one. They sold out within minutes, and my inbox was inundated with a request for a restock. So the compsognathus became the first Rubbersaur to get a second run. The second run also quickly sold out, but the demand for compsognathus hasn't let up. Personally, I want to flood the world with compsognathus. I want everyone to have the chance to build their own army of compies. Now, painting one compsognathus, that's easy. Painting 200 compsognathus, that'll destroy your will to live. Not to mention the assembly. Gluing tiny plastic legs onto their tiny rubber bodies, and making sure that they were properly aligned so that they were able to balance, it just wasn't sustainable in order to meet the demand for compsognathus within the Jurassic community. I thought about opening up my own sweatshop, but damn those child labor laws. So we came up with a slightly simpler process, combining the legs onto the same print file as the body. Unfortunately, that meant they couldn't be printed in rubber. Because of how small these guys are, it was important to strike a balance between being flexible enough to bend and not break, but still being rigid enough to stand. Legs that just flop and fold under your dinosaur are, well, no more useful than not having legs at all. As far as painting, there just isn't a way to shortcut that without sacrificing the quality that Rubbersaurs are made for. And if you're not going to do a good job, the job isn't worth doing at all. With that said, there are more painted Rubbersaur's compies coming. Marco will tell you all about those on his channel. But today, I'm here to tell you about a different project. As members of the Jurassic Park collecting community, people talk, and we listen. We're just two Yanks and an Italian Brit, so there's a limit to what we can do. But a bag of compsognathus? I think we can handle that. It took some R&D, but we finally settled on a resin mixture that's both flexible enough for the compsognathus not to break, but also rigid enough for them to stand. The initial compsognathus will be green, although more colors may follow. And there are 10 different poses. By offering these compsognathus unpainted, we'll be able to offer more of them at a more affordable price. These compsognathus are not only for the super rich. Now, just because they're unpainted, make no mistake, preparing these compsognathus for everyone was no walk in the park. They're very detailed, but also very small, freeing each compsognathus from its supports, and then cleaning up the residual supports from the compsognathus itself was enough work on its own. Additionally, because of the use of specialty resins, they have a slightly higher than normal failure rate with each print. So around 20% of the compsognathus that were ultimately printed probably would have been left on Elis and Hubert. Not because they looked as cool as the Jurassic World Rebirth compies, but because they were abject failures. But don't worry, failures don't leave the lab. Failures aside though, I've had my printer running non-stop all week, so we still have a lot of compsognathus. I've separated each pose of compy, so I can try to get as even distribution as possible in each bag. Now, you're probably thinking, how many compsognathus do I get? 5 compies? 10? Or maybe 20? 50? How about 100? However many compsognathus you want, there's a Bag O Compies to fit every budget. Okay, now I admit, Bag O Compies isn't the most imaginative name, but what else are we supposed to call a Bag O Compies? Dino Sack just doesn't sound right. So Bag O Compies it is. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think green is a lovely color for compsognathus. But it's a beautiful sculpt, and you don't have to leave it unpainted. As for me, I think they look great painted. Nothing finishes off a Lost World diorama quite like a stripy little green compsognathus. But you don't have to let the Jurassic franchise dictate the color of your compsognathus. Let your imagination run wild. See what kind of cool colors you can come up with. In fact, we'll go ahead and paint some compies right now, because why not? I've got a little time to kill. We'll paint both sides. I don't want a lopsided dinosaur. Voila! A buck compy, a tree frog compy, a baby quail compy, Compy the purple dinosaur, a more deserty compy, and whatever the hell this thing is. The Bag O Compies will be available in 5 different sizes, and they'll be available on my Etsy shop shortly after this video ends. So if you've ever wanted to assemble your own compsognathus army, then pick up a bag, and then say asset secure your ass. I can't say it. Pick up your Bag O Compies today. They're green.